It's exhausting. I'm exhausted. Not really.
It's weird because your main channel has 2 scheduled reminders that popped up. Weird.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's like 3. Oh, there it is. It's live now.
There it goes, yeah. Okay, let me go to my channel and let me... Oh, there it is. Is this the one?
And your live chat is on and working.
It's exhausting. Okay, that's the one. Cool.
Test. Hello.
I'm going to start a new project in Audiotool, and then I'm going to go to Classroom really quick and paste this stuff.
We got Extra Sour coming in saying hi.
I'm going to add a link. Add a link. Here's the live stream. Here's the live stream. And electronic music. Okay. Refresh my channel. Okay, turn down the volume. All right. Now there's people here. Cool. And I am chatting on my iPad. Yes, I am chatting on my iPad. Okay. So we're going to give it about an extra 5 minutes or so to make sure people can join. And, yeah, that whole thing. So, yep. So today we're going to talk about samples. And so we're going to dig into that a little bit here. Probably going to try recording a little bit of stuff. See what happens. Who else we got? You're my biggest fan. That's not true. My biggest fan is Jesus.
I was about to say, I have a box fan out in the garage.
Yuck, 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 yuck. I have my Dyson fan behind me.
Ooh, it's one of the, oh yeah, it's the ring one, the bladeless one.
Yeah.
Although that's not really true because technically there are blades inside the ring, right?
Exactly. It just routes the air like through like a baffle. That's it. So it's kind of dumb, but it works well.
I mean,
and it's an air purifier.
Technically, in that case, you could literally just put a leaf blower in your room.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bladeless fan also.
Got Reverse YT saying hi. Hey, how's it going?
Okay, we don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need that. Okay. Hey, people are here. Cool. Okay. That's fine. That's peachy keen. So here's the deal, folks of my classes and such. Whatever project you happen to be working on, that's what you should be still working on, right? The drum project is vastly overdue. The synthesizer stuff, the Save a Prayer stuff, is vastly overdue. That stuff was due before we ever went on quarantine and anything else. So that should still be your first thing. So when we look at the classroom, right? When we look at the classroom and we look at our thing coming up, we are looking at the samples project. This guy. That guy. Okay. Let me zoomify here. So we're going to create a short song using only samples. Those samples can be played back with audio tracks or with the machinist. That's all the requirements are. Only samples, at least 2 minutes long, change of rhythm or style. Okay, so some people have asked me, like, how do I upload samples? You don't have to, right? So let's start a new project. And I am, because it's a requirement, I'm going to go ahead and throw myself a reverb and a delay. And remember, we hook these guys up in a loop, and we got to turn the levels all the way up. Always turn the levels all the way up on aux effects. So some of this stuff is going to be like brushing the rust off of the memory banks for some of y'all. I don't think I've used Audiotool on this computer yet. It's ridiculously fast. So I'm going to take each step and then sort of pause and give it a second, make sure people can catch up and switch back and forth from one thing to the next. Most of you are probably on Chromebooks, so it's going to be a little bit of a lag time there. Plus coffee. Okay, so samples. Remember, we've got the. Oh, you know what I'm going to do really quick while I'm pausing? I am going to go into where? I don't know where it's at. Ease of use. That's the thing. Cursor and pointer. There's a thing. Mouse? Is this it? No. Okay, you know what? I'll find it later. There's a thing that puts a little circle above your mouse cursor, little pointer thing, and it goes pew pew pew, and it kind of shows off where you are. It used to be like I'd press the control key and it would do that. So, anyways, we're going up here. Usually in class they just use a laser pointer, but I don't have one. So we're going up here and we're over on the samples tab on the right side. Okay. So the first thing I would say is set a tempo. Think about like what kind of a song you want. Do you want it to be, faster, high energy? Do you want it to be slower, kind of chilled out? I'm gonna go. Let's go a little faster today. Let's go around like the 130 mark. Oh, hi, Mark. All right, so that matters only when you use loops. And when you do that, then you need to change your tempo here on the search thing. And so now it finds all of the stuff 130 plus or minus 4. And you can change the plus or minus as well. I usually crank it up to 10. Gives me more of a range of samples to pull from. If you want something that's a little bit closer, you can, of course, put that back to something else. I put it at 5. We'll see what comes up. So, Daft Punk ripoff. Sure, let's grab that. You basically grab it, throw it in, there it is. Yours are probably going to hook up automatically. All right. And for those of you who are having a hard time maybe keeping up, this will be uploaded permanently as well, and you'll be able to go back and reference things. So as far as pausing and stuff like that, I'm not going to wait too terribly long. If it feels like I'm going too quickly, you will always be able to go back and review this stuff later and hit pause as you need to. So I'd certainly recommend. I hope everybody's doing well. By the way, I hope you're not completely weirded out by this whole quarantine thing and stuff. To be honest, it's been kind of cool because I've gotten back together with a lot of my gaming friends and we've been doing a lot of video gaming and stuff like that. So, yeah, kind of neat. So, anyways, back to it. So here's our basis, and we hit play. Okay. If you take a look at the sample, let's get some drums first, and then I'll go into the details. Nope. Okay, let's throw that in there for later. But that's a good one. Real basic drum loop, kick and it's not really a snare. It's like an explosion. Okay. And the other thing that I like to do personally, is I like to take the stuff that I'm not using and just chuck it off to the side. Just get it out of there. All right, so here's our first sample. Let's set our loop to that position. We're going to turn on the loop and so on. And then you double click. Okay, now when you double click, things start to get interesting. So this is our sample, and this is, you can see that the visuals correspond to what you hear. Okay, now here's the really, really important stuff that is sort of tricky that people tend to do by accident. All right. If you look at the loop slider right here, this little tab right here on the right side, there's one on the left as well. Okay. And as we shrink that, you notice right above it that stuff is sort of changing. It's getting a little weird. Okay. Okay. So what basically here's the deal. For the length of this clip, the big chunk, it will repeat whatever is between the loop sliders. So if we stick the loop slider right here, then it's just going to give us a thump 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 thump, like for the whole time, which is boring in and of itself, but you can use it to really good effect. And this, of course, also depends on our mystical magical snap value. So if we change our snapping to something stupid, like, 30-second note, let's get stupid. And now we have made a machine gun. And if we make that a little slower and so on. So you can really slice and dice a sample. Like if we just want the snare drum, there it is. Okay. And that means that you can mix and match these. You can start new tracks. Now, I've just done a thing that's not a good thing. You see what I did? I moved this thing off to the side. And remember, I've talked about it before. Do not adjust samples from the left side. It will become extremely confusing, and it's not going to work well. All right. So there's your sample tab. Get used to that. Try moving it around. Just like, what's the harm? You're not going to break anything. If you broke something, that would be odd. You've broken the internet. God, no. Okay. So the other thing is this itty bitty little dot right here. This little bitty dot right here. This stretches or compresses your sample. It time compresses it. So as I move it over, okay, now it's playing faster. And remember, faster means higher. Okay. Now you can move it to the left, and you can move it to up and down. So if I move it to the middle, and then I move it down. You see what it's doing? It's truncating the sample. It's making it short, but then it's also changing. It's also changing the timing of it and stuff. So there's two ways to do this. You can time stretch it, or you can keep it not time stretched. If you move it straight down, okay, or if you move it to the left, or if you move it to the right. To be honest, unless you do that for a purpose, I would leave it alone. It's a really easy thing to be like, oops, and then have it just ever so slightly. And like, here's our. Okay, so you hear how it's no longer hooked up with the metronome. All right, so yeah, that's a problem, and it sounds good at the beginning. And then the more it plays back, the further it splits off from the original. And all it takes is one tiny little mouse click in the wrong place to have that happen. Okay. So this would be the basic thing here. Now, what do we want next? And let's talk about the rule of 8. The rule of 8 basically says every 8 measures you should change something. Okay. And in this case, I'm also going to have a 4-measure intro. So here's what I like to do. I like to take my loop, see the little gray thing? I like to set my loop up for 8-measure sections. Okay, moving this stuff out of the way. So right at the beginning, I have a 4-measure intro that's just drums. And then here's our first loop. And what would be cooler than having some delay on that synth loop? Okay, so for my next trick, for my next 8, I'm going to take all of that stuff and I'm going to copy it over. Okay, because again, you're not changing what you're doing, you're just adding to it. Okay, and that's a really important concept to like think about. Like music doesn't shift completely. Like you can't listen to a song and then have it be like, oh, all of a sudden it's a different song. Like that doesn't make sense. And it would sound horrible. And if you actually heard a song that was like that, you would be like, oh, this is the worst thing ever, and I hate it. But people tend to just make that stuff and go, oh, it's really cool. Like, nah. Now, there's one big tricky thing that we deal with in here as well. Okay? And that is making pitch match up from sample to sample. Okay? That is very, very tricky. Okay? Like if I just took that and I took that sample and I dragged it in there and I tried to play it back as at the same time as some of my other stuff. Okay, it doesn't work. It's not the right notes compared to what the other one is. So if I hear the piano, we're on C. I'll just slightly sharp. Okay, and then my bass is like. My bass is in E, and so those two things don't really work well together. So how do you make that work? Can you make that work? Yes and no. So I'm going to delete that whole track. I believe that was this one. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to use the machinist. So let's grab a machinist. Now, a machinist is sort of like a drum machine, but remember, it just plays back samples. So whatever you feed it, you can do stuff with it. All right, and that gives us a little bit of freedom on this whole thing. You can use the machinist to play stuff back in rhythm, but you can also okay, yeah. So you can also play stuff back through here and adjust some stuff about it. So let's say I took that piano, and this time, instead of putting it here in our work surface, what if I dropped it into the machinist? Now if we double click it, we can hear it. Okay. Now remember before when we changed the tempo, and the longer it went along, the further it got from the original. Okay? That is a super duper important thing. So how do we do that here? Okay. If we just took this and we slowed it down or sped it up or something like that, it's not exactly going to work. All right. We can hear that. Let's just trigger it once right here. So here at the end, it's kind of like dun, 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 and it's jumping ahead a little bit really quick. All right, we want to avoid that. We can change the pitch. We can bring it up. But remember what that does. When you change the pitch, it makes it go faster, which means it's going to go higher. Okay, so that's nutty. It doesn't. Okay, So what you can do is kind of sort of fake it. I'm going to take the first chord only from this sample. So I'm going to look at my start and end points right here. Okay. And what I want is just that first blum. Just that's it. All right. So I'm going to take the end point and I'm double clicking up here. Drag it back a little more. A little bit more. Even more. Even more. I'm actually going to make it a little quicker than that. There it is. Now, if I took that rhythm and then I did this, here's what it sounds like. So I've recreated the rhythm by using the buttons in the Machinist, and now I can kind of change the pitch and make sure that it actually matches, which it doesn't. So if we pitch this up, sounds like I lucked into it. I actually got it pretty close, like right away. Now, if you notice, this sound right here sounds really kind of choppy. A little reverb will gloss over that really nicely. We can also do this. Now, an ENV is an envelope, and it shows how the sound behaves over time. Okay, so what it's going to do is instead of being like on, off, it's going to give it like on, and then it like a slow, but not that slow. If we crank this, okay, so you hear. There we go. It's pretty good. Okay, so this is not an exact science all the time. Okay, so playing with this stuff is really, really important, and you have time. Keep that in mind. This is not a panic, like, oh my God, let's finish our assignments today. Like, we have time, all right? So I want to make sure that you ask questions, that you have the time to literally just goof around with stuff, okay? So if I'm going to stick that here, I'm going to stick that here. Okay, so notice here's what I've got in my structure, right? We start off with a 4-measure introduction right here at the beginning. Solo on. Okay, here's our beginning, right? And now we have an 8-measure thing. So there's our first 20 measures, okay? And then we can go on to the next thing, right? And then we can take all of this stuff, move it over, copy it over, I should say, holding control, and there's the next thing. Now, I don't know if this one's going to actually fit or work. No, that's a no. Not quite. All right. So, that being the case, we can find another one. That's okay. I don't know which one of these is which. That's audio track 1. It doesn't seem like I'm using that. Okay. And this is audio track period. Okay, so those two are good. So now you can maybe start searching for stuff. Like I want to look for like a shaker or like a melody maybe. Oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of dig that. That's not going to be the right pitch though. It's going to be playing back too fast, which is too bad. Because that would be kind of a cool thing. Now, you could do the same thing as the machinist, but to a lesser extent from right here. Okay? So if you made this only do the first part, let's say. This is a 5-measure loop? Weird. Okay. What I really want is just this. Okay, like that's literally all that I want is that first chunk. That. And then to have it repeat again, like right here. Okay. So what do we do with that? Well, we can just slow it down a little bit. Just a little. Stretch it. A bit more. Let's hear how that sounds. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, the piano is way too loud. Okay, it's not bad. It's not great, but again, here's the big thing to think about. It doesn't have to be perfect right now, right? So instead of having a giant 8-measure section, I've taken a small chunk of that sample and I've just repeated it over and over. So this is the big thing, right? The more you split your tempo off, the longer it goes, the more they start to split apart. Okay? So if you change the pitch of something and you make it play back slower or faster in order to kind of match, well, now you've got a situation where you're like, oh, I'm together right at the beginning, but then they start splitting off. Okay? So how do you do that stuff? Well, you take the first chunk. And instead of like letting it go onwards and then getting farther and farther apart in tempo, then you just take the first bit and then you just repeat that first bit and then you repeat that first bit. Okay? And then it starts to actually sound okay once you've gotten the whole thing down. Okay, so let's listen to this, like the whole track here that I've got so far. Okay, it's kind of cool. Some effects. Effects are really, really good at, like, this is the one, okay? Effects are really, really good at smoothing over that roughness, okay? And we can do some really interesting stuff with this. So, we could do that. We could just put it through a reverb. When it's on this like this, you don't have to turn the level all the way up and so on and so forth. I'm going to turn these guys down, though. And let's hear that soloed. Wrong one. I'm going to crank that up. There we go. Okay. What else could we do with this? Well, we could do some interesting stuff with it. We could do some... We could do all kinds of stuff with it, to be honest. Like, we could do... I don't know what. We could do lots of things. By the way, feel free to ask questions in chat if you've got questions about what's going on here. Could do I'm not going the Helmholtz filter. That's complicated. We could do a phaser. I mean, you could do that. You could do a phaser. You could do a flanger. You could do a slope. A slope would be kind of cool. You could also do a Rasselbach. So this is a ridiculous little device right here, to be honest. the Rasselbach is very unique. It's one of the things that Audiotool does that like kind of nobody else does, which is super cool. So here's the key: you got all of these shuffle and speed and weird effects and stuff like that down here. Okay, so if you put a stutter on, here's how that sounds. Okay, kind of cool. Gate, which is kind of cool. Okay. Actually, you know what I want to do is reverse this. I want to go into the Rasselbach, out of the Rasselbach, into the reverb. I'm going to reverse the order here. Okay, that's kind of cool, to be honest. Now, what if we don't want this on all the time? Well, we have patterns. So we right click, we make a pattern track for it. Maybe I only want it on like here. But now it's normally fine. And then this one is all... Okay. All right. Now I'm going to do one small thing as well. I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to chop those guys back. Okay. And then what? Well, every once in a while, you got to just hit play from the beginning and see how the whole thing sounds. So let's do that and hear how the whole thing sounds, man. Boom, something else is going to start up right there. Okay. So, not bad so far. I'm not going to take that. No, what did I just do? No, I hit a button and everything disappeared. Oh, it kept it, thank God. Thank you, Audiotool, for not ruining my world. All right, so I'm going to keep the next chunk here that I had before, but I need something new. I don't know what, though. So we'll go into the samples and we'll listen to some stuff. It'd be cool to have like a fast synth kind of a sound, something like, I don't know. I don't even know. So what we want to do is crank this up to 130, and we'll see what we can find. Nope.
Jack that.
No. Maybe.
Jack that body.
No.
We're going back to the old school.
Yes, we're going back to the old school. Nope.
She makes me want.
Nope. Nope. Ooh, might be cool. That's cool. Let's try it out. Let's see what happens. All right. It always sticks it way over there on the left. Let's color this. Let's go blue. I don't know. Doesn't really work. No, that doesn't really work. Undo, 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 undo. 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 There. Where were we? We were looking for stuff. What is this in? It's in E. Okay. So if I find something that's in E, I might be able to deal with it. There might not be a lot of stuff for this. Let's see here. Okay. This is not a bad thing to add, just to add to the sort of like the percussion and the, just the overall sound. To have an extra drum layer. Except that's really loud. Okay. I'd like to have something else in this chunk as well, because it's sort of the same thing. That actually works. That actually would work in terms of like the notes and stuff. I'm gonna put you under here. Okay. And then we'll put you over here. We'll color you something different. Because, yeah. Pink. That's a pink loop. Okay, let's double that up. Okay, so from here, new stuff go. Okay, so not bad. Remember, one of the things in this assignment is you have to have a change in style or feel or rhythm. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. One last time, I'm going to have my sample, my vocal sample playing back here. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to cut stuff off early. Okay, now listen to what that does, by the way. This is a really small thing that you can do to just... this, we're looking at this part right here. Right there. Here's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to let that play the last note. Boom, you can see it there. This one, I'm going to just chop off completely, and I'm going to let the piano play. And listen to how that sounds. Okay. In fact, we can maybe even pull the piano back like this. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So there's no official term for this. I call it a cutout. It's just, it's the thing at the end of an 8. Notice it's at the end. It's not at the beginning. Like, the beginning would be super awkward. We want that downbeat. We want that strong beat 1. That, like, hey, we're all jumping in at the same time kind of a thing. All right? So at the end of an 8, or at the end of a larger section, maybe a 16, you can cut out some stuff and have it kind of like, I don't know, it kind of puts people off balance. It's an interesting feeling. It's like going, and then all of a sudden you're like, and then it comes back in. All right? So it's kind of cool. Let's hear the whole thing from the beginning again. Boom. Okay, I have to confess that this thing that I added in is bugging me. It's not the right pitch. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing that I did before. In fact, should we do this with the machinist instead? I don't know. All right, I'd like to isolate this. Those two. So what I want to do is stretch that guy. Yeah, this isn't really going to work the way I wanted it to. Now, what if I just did like one measure of that? Okay, and then what if I just took that one measure and I just repeated it over and over again? Like little tiny bits. It's not the worst thing ever. Okay, but we're going to do two things to this. We are going to put it through distortion. So we go to devices. And we're looking at this guy? Yeah. So, tube D. Okay. And then the other thing is, I'm going to put this through a separate delay. And my favorite delay is the pulsar. The pulsar is a lot of fun. It's a panning delay, so it does a delay in each left ear and right ear separately. It's really cool, and it makes... What music maker thing are you using? Audiotool, bro. I take it you're not from my class. Yeah, I'm doing this stuff as a class thing because I teach middle school music. But what are they talking about? Okay, sorry. Anyways, let's listen to this. Whoa, that's cool. Let's solo this puppy. Listen to it again. All right, now here's the thing. You know how the other ones we just have a level control? Like that as a level control? This one has two. You have dry and you have wet. The wet is the effect. The dry is not effect. All right, so you want to kind of balance these. This is too high for now. All right. If we turn it all the way down, then there's no effect. Okay, that's cool. Just thinking it up. Here we go. And then we got our vocals. okay. And now is about the time. Now, if we look at this, by the way, where are we at? Remember, the song has to be 2 minutes long. So if we go up here to bars and we click, we're at 1 minute and 21 seconds. Like, okay, we still need to put in a change of style or feel or rhythm or something. Okay, so let's do that. All right, we're going to keep our tempo the same, but basically, like, all of this stuff is going to kind of just go like pushed by the wayside for now. All right, I'm going to probably start on that tomorrow. I think today I've been online for 46 minutes. Okay, 46 minutes is pretty good. This will be uploaded so you can rewatch it if you're looking at stuff for class and so on and so forth. By all means, feel free to do that. This is my channel. I'll be posting stuff on here every couple days, every few days. We'll see. Feel free to ask questions. Hopefully, you're not going crazy sitting at home. Okay, it's kind of one of the reasons I do this. Want to hear from you. Go ahead and chat and stuff like that in there, as long as you don't get completely stupid. So, as always, ask questions and hope everything is going well. Hope everybody's staying safe. Yeah, that's about it. So, thanks for joining me today. I'll probably do another one. Yes, it can be over 2 minutes. That is not a problem. That's a minimum for those who are like, I'm going to do the bare minimum. Okay. And remember, too, folks that are in my class, like, take your time. Okay. We have time for this. This is not a, oh my God, you have to get it done, tomorrow or this weekend or whatever. Like, let's have fun with it, right? Take your time, figure out this program a little bit more. And the point is to have a thing where you can make music and be like, oh, I just lost 3 hours of time because I was working on a song and now I've made something really cool from it. So that's kind of a cool thing. Good side effect. All right. Take it easy. Stay safe. Hope you have a good rest of your day and stuff like that. We'll see you.